Well then, folks, the Steam reviews are on fire, the Discord server's on fire, everybody's on fire. But regardless, I do want to do a first impressions video on BMX Streets. I did actually film a proper first impressions, which was me literally logging on for the first time and trying it out, but it got messed up, unfortunately. So this is kind of like 2 hours later after I did the first video, which means I've kind of gotten used to one or two little things, so I can maybe talk about that, which is nice. And we also had a patch release. Something to do with mod.io is maybe broken. Will be patched in at a later date due to a mod downloading issue. But you can still use custom maps. We probably won't get to that in this video. I kind of want to just do, well, first impressions of the game. Things I figured out, things I haven't figured out, my general feelings towards it. It's kind of be a little bit all over the place, but that's kind of what I wanted for a first impressions, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to upload a video every day, probably for a week or so about this game as we go along and as we figure stuff out. So, yeah, as you can see, I got some stuff unlocked, so it's a start, at least. So one thing I found is, and this is maybe controversial for a few people, but the flares is the left trigger you hold down and you use the left stick to actually activate it. But the thing is, I'm just holding down and it's doing flares. Like, I'm not doing any of this turning myself. Or sometimes if you're straight, it's just like a regular backflip to fakie. But yeah, it's interesting. It's different to Scoot. I originally thought it'd be like Scoot, but it feels like kind of more automated almost. Which again, will take a bit of getting used to, I think. It's an extra button to do flips compared to what we did before. That just worked primarily on the left stick. Also, for people that are new to the game or new to my channel, I'm somebody who's like a, I guess you'd say a pipe veteran, which sounds a bit weird. I've been playing this game forever. I've done loads of videos. I get really in depth with the physics. I figure a lot of stuff out. I try and be original and creative as a kind of jibby tech rider in this sort of thing. So I have kind of a unique perspective, which I think a lot of people are interested in. And I'm curious to see how far we can go with these new physics, to be honest. One big thing to note is, in pipe, when you wanted to do a grab trick, you could hold down the inputs before airing, basically. So you go straight into like a tuck no-hander. I'm holding it in advance. It would go into a tuck no-hander usually. Here, you need to hop, release, and then do it, which makes setup a little bit more difficult. It's just one of those things that you have to get used to, I guess. But some people may find that a bit weird at first, like they're trying to do tricks and it's not working. I am extremely curious what the comments will be like for this. It seems like things are pretty... What was that? Hiptastic, clear the gap. I didn't even know I was doing anything. Okay. Yeah, like things seem extremely spicy at the minute, which is wild. We've waited all this time. We're going to think it was the best thing ever, and then somehow it's turned into kind of a crazy... People are mad about the price. People think the game is incomplete. I'll be honest, I'm not going to be 100% positive on it. It does feel a bit weird in places. I was riding around the city. I've actually got a few places unlocked, so I will show it off in a little bit. Actually, let's keep going down the map so we're not stuck here the whole time. You'll notice one or two of the mission markers aren't there anymore because I did them. I'm not entirely a fan of missions, especially points and stuff like that. Like, I want to jib and do cool stuff, not like, I don't know, stress about Tony Hawk style pick up the letters and all that kind of weird janky crap, but you know, it is what it is. One thing I noticed was there was a bunch of missions here which are kind of like a tutorial for the game, but now I've done them, they've disappeared. So is there no way of actually replaying them again? I guess if you've completed them 100% they just disappear, but it would be nice, like after the first time, if you wanted to replay it or show people something that happened or anything like that, but I guess not. While I'm on the way, if I think of anything interesting I want to try out, I'll maybe give it a go. I am slowly adjusting, it's taking time. Okay. This is one thing. The G10s feel kind of busted to me. Previously, you could be in fakie and do like a manual pivot out. You see, it went the wrong direction. It works sometimes. Like if you've got the rotation already going. But say if you're just doing a fakie manual, that sort of happens quite a lot. And then those manual G10s are also kind of wild like that. Part of the issue seems to be that when you're in a manual, you'll see the stick is not being moved, but he's kind of, or she, is kind of moving all over the place a little bit, which is like a balance that doesn't actually fall over. So you can hold it all the way forward and then this happens, which is a bit nauseating and weird. But I guess you just have to kind of balance it out with the stick, if that makes sense. So if you get it right, it looks like it's proper balance. But otherwise, you get this going on, which is interesting. Another thing that's very me is stuff like that. It like turns for you. Actually, what is going on with this turn? Why? What? How does that work? Physics-wise? There's definitely some bugs and some weird stuff going on in this, that's for sure. Maybe it's the forks or the setup I chose or something. God, I don't think that happened before. Yeah, like going up to this wall, sometimes he turns. Sorry, whatever. Other times it's like a vertical wall ride or like a wall tap or something. Maybe I just need to figure it out a little bit, but it's kind of... What is going on? What? Why? Hang on, let's change the forks quickly and see what happens. No, still seems to be the same thing going on, which is interesting. I don't know if this is a bug. Oh yeah, it must be a bug, because otherwise why the hell would it happen? Oh, another thing, this mission is kind of a nightmare. I'll try showing it off, but getting to the bottom is ridiculous. Like, the landings are hard. Getting the speed to do one of the jumps is crazy. It's kind of all over the place. This jump here, you need to hit this bank, otherwise he just dies. And then you either completely go over that one and it screws it up, or this next jump screws you up. I have completed it as you saw before, but I don't know if it's just not understanding how it works exactly or what's going on. Let's have another go. But I remember it taking a bit of a while to just even get like a clean run. This jump's a nightmare. Just stick to the wall, I think. This is wild. Okay, go. Maybe I'll make it this time. Like, I don't know where you're supposed to get the speed to do this. Everything has to be so precise. You get it in the end, but it feels kind of random, like it decided to work for you or something. Yeah, there you go. One thing one-footers as well, once you hold it, do you see when I release on the trigger versus when the foot comes back? There's a bit of a like time delay. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. Can we grind this? I do want to say, I don't want to be overly negative. Like, I feel like I just need to adjust to a lot of this stuff. I can probably figure a lot of this out because I'm a weirdo and I like that sort of thing. But for a lot of people, I think, especially if you're used to pipe, well, if you've been playing a lot of other games, it's going to feel kind of very unique and weird, which may be part of the issue that people are having. Like, it's just kind of different and it's going to take a hell of a long time for people to get used to it. But I'm not also going to defend it. There is kind of jank here and there as well, actually. If you spot these about the map, you may not notice initially, but go up to it, pick it up. We get 67 performance black forks, which, are these different? They all look the same. Why have I got 4 sets of forks? I swear to God, this isn't intentional. Like, I was trying to do like a fair thing of the game, but in a sense it is looking a bit jank unintentionally. There's another box up there. Let's see what that one is. I haven't had any problems with the boxes, to be honest. Like, they work. And they've been different each time. Okay, yeah, we get different parts. What are these 67 performance black forks? Why is there so many of them? Why is 60? Okay, it's a brand. Okay, sorry. I do flatland. I don't know a lot of street stuff, so forgive me on that side, but I don't know why we have so many of those. I definitely have moments where it feels kind of nice. I think I did my first tweaked trick as well, which is nice. Holy shit. I like how it just like corpses in the middle of the air. Another important thing, if you get stuck here and you don't know where to go, let me just show you this bizarre little area. Your way of getting out of, I guess it's the tutorial area. Note that there's actually a few like dead ends in this thing. So, I don't know, it's a bit weird, I'll be honest. Did not tuck up at all. Oh yeah, remember to get these as well, so you can just go to the map and fast travel. Unlock as much as you can while you can, seriously. The thing I'm having with this is, it feels amazing at times, and then at other times it feels kind of perfect timing. It feels a bit jank. So it's like, I'm pretty sure if I keep playing this, I'm going to figure out a ton of cool stuff like I did with Pipe, and it's going to be great. But what is this turning? I thought, yeah. I know we waited all this time and we were expecting perfection, but turns out nobody is perfect. Seriously, what? Okay, let's change the forks again and change the frame. Let's do a little bit of a testing, see what happens. Actually, while we're here, let's just look at the parts and stuff. I'll choose a different frame because God only knows. You have a ton of stuff. You're not short of things to ride, that's for sure. Like seats alone, look at all these. So many of them. Basically, each individual part is ridiculous. You've got so much, I can't see what else anybody would ever want playing this. Okay, so for the most part I've changed everything. You can pretty much, I won't bother going through everything, but just assume each of these options has a ton of parts. There's a lot there, you're going to be satisfied, I think. Alright, so I've changed my stuff up a little bit. Let's see if it makes any difference. Clearly, yeah, made a difference. How many kilometers an hour is he going to go? He's just accelerating the whole time. Right, new guy, new bike, what happens? Nope, same thing. No good. So we don't know what the source of that little bug is. The weird thing is, the first time I played it, that didn't happen. Oh dear. So I'm not entirely sure what's causing it, to be honest. It's weird, and it's also a shame, because it feels like there's some things to love about this, and the way it feels and the way it looks. But it's definitely come out in maybe a less than perfect state. Now, I'm pretty sure I could figure out ways to make this look good. But for the most part, people that buy this game, especially when you think about the money and things like that, they're probably going to have a few complaints about it. And that is fair enough, to be honest. I'm not one to tell them to go out of the way. Maybe wait and see. I presume this must be fixed. Or there's a lot of weird, unexpected things happening or something. After all this time and effort, it'd be hard to assume that this was intended. Well, I don't think anybody would intend it to be like this, to be honest, but you know. Definitely, what is going on with a bike? You know what it is? I reset, so we're back here again, but I changed the stance back to right. So right foot forward, and now it's fixed. So let me just go back to the menu. Stance. Let's put it on left again. See what happens. It's fixed. The weird thing is, when I loaded it up the second time, his right foot was forward, but the stance was set to left, and maybe that was causing a bug. So I may have found out the cause of that. So if you're getting the same thing happening to you, if you were going left foot forward and you start the game again, it may break it. So that actually explains... Okay, thank God, because that was like making me lose my mind, how that looked. Yeah, like little jibby stuff. I'm hoping it's going to turn out pretty good in this game. It feels like it should be. Actually, because that bug has fixed, it feels a little different as well. It feels a bit more... I don't know. Not as bad as it was. Maybe I'm just telling myself that. If you use the right trigger and both sticks, you can do this kind of kick the back end out. Which, I wonder if you could use that as a way to like get extra jibs, sound something like this. I wonder what would happen if you like got it over the edge. Yeah, it may lead to some like interesting slides into 180s and stuff like that. It also adds a bit of style to your tricks. Okay, so we found this rail. Let's try some of the physics kind of grinds. I have the... I can't remember the setting now. That like turn auto grind function off. So I get the feeling it's going to be pretty hard to get stuff to lock in properly. I just want to do an ice pick and see if I can like drop. Yeah, you can drop. Okay, let's use the editor to get a better look. Okay, so you see he's doing an ice pick. I turned a little bit, dropped it down into a crooked. So a lot of that stuff has a lot of potential, I think. Let's try a feeble, see if we can turn it into a nose. It's actually sliding off. Again, I've only been playing it a tiny bit, so I'm figuring out as I go along. Maybe a ledge is a better option, actually. Like, that looks completely crap, but the fact that that stuff's possible is positive in my mind. Like, if you can work out some crazy variations like that. No, some weird stuff happens at the same time. Let's see if overgrinds work in a similar way to before. No. You're going to have to do those a different way, and I'm not entirely sure how. Turning's pretty heavy. As a whole, it feels a lot heavier than it used to, I think. Stuff like this flows really nice. Honestly, I think that first area is not that great. That might be part of the problem, to be honest. Nose manuals up things look insane. Oh, tuck ups as well. I guess you have to do it after the fact. If you hold the triggers down and go up, it doesn't do it. So that's another thing to bear in mind. It's strange because I have like moments where I think, okay, this is a bit broken and jank. And then there's other moments where it seems really nice. It's kind of like a crazy mixed bag. Ouch. Going back to the grinds. Toothpicks? I'm not entirely sure how you control them. Like, I'm moving the right stick to try and stop him from turning like that. Okay, use the triggers. That makes sense. Does it? I don't know, actually. You've got to use those to balance. So could I do a toothpick and then drop the back end over into like a crooked, I guess it'd be, or a smith? This is like live research right now. Like, it was a little bit of a smith at the end. If you learn to control that pretty well. And maybe something to add a bit of style to tricks or like grind variations. Super twitchy and stuff like that. What kind of rail is this? There's a rail on this side. Why is this rail with the gap in the middle? And again, bear in mind this video is a first impressions video, so I'm not going to be playing this particularly well. I do want to give as raw an opinion as possible to start off with, and then I'll get deeper and deeper into it and figure it out. Even if it is jank, I'm going to keep playing it because I just want to understand the game more. I feel there's a lot of potential for interesting stuff. It's going to be a lot harder than maybe people expected originally. So bear that in mind. If you don't want to be in this jank period, I'd say wait off and let people figure out the game a bit first before trying it. But if you're like me and you just want to, well, you've just been waiting forever for it and when you want to get involved, then I say by all means do it. Also, thinking about it, we have a curved rail here. Could we do one of my patented rail rides down it? It is a curved rail, so I'm not sure. Ah. You know what? I'll work on that stuff for an edit, I think. It's definitely doable. It's definitely my style as well, so don't panic. There's tons of these rails about, so I'll probably do an edit or some kind of video trying to like do as much hard stuff as possible on those things. The potential is there at least. There you go, another curved rail. Plenty of them about, so let's now go to the little park that the old potato played on in that old video. Here we go. This is something I unlocked when I was doing my first playthrough. Also, like I think I said earlier on, if you press right on the D-pad, you bring up all this stuff, which gives you the editor, bike stuff, time. Let's try and stick this on at night, see what happens. Yeah, so we're in this park. Actually, it's probably not a good idea to do this at night because you can't really see much. Lighting seems interesting. I guess it would work better in a city because you've actually got like lighting and stuff to think about, but definitely a lot of like real-time shadows and stuff going on though. Oh, another thing, right trigger when you're trying to get out of this stuff sometimes works. Yeah, there you go, that gets you out of it. I've set it to a more golden time. Another interesting thing is the right button, the right shoulder button. If you don't press it and you go into a bowl, you pretty much hone into it like that. Which means you're kind of sticking to transition a lot of the time, whether you want to or not. Now, if you hold this and hop in, you notice none of that kind of magnet or sticking into it happened, which allows you to do stuff manually. So for example, you could theoretically, yeah, go down like that. Well, jank happens, but it gives you a bunch of different ways to actually get into like a quarter pipe or whatever, any kind of transition like that. I don't know how the stalls work. That's one thing I'm curious about, if I'm being honest. But maybe it's like that. Maybe you got to hold down the right. I was curious how the old potato was doing it before in his video. Is it holding down that? It seems to. It seems to like lock on, like it's trying to do a grind or something. If we get enough speed, could we theoretically just do like... Maybe not. A lot of stuff still needs to be discovered, I think. Safe to say. But yeah, double pegs definitely aren't working. For me, at least, at the minute. Again, I'm figuring it out just like everybody else is, so... And also, this right trigger to get out of bowls doesn't always work. Like, I'm trying, but he's not getting out. Maybe it's the right button. Maybe I've been doing it wrong all this time. I can't really tell, to be honest. Another thing I wanted to play around with was like stalls and things like that, just on ledges. That's one thing I really wanted or hoped would work fairly well. I'm not sure if it does. It seems very hard to do it consistently. And sometimes he just falls over. Stuff like that. When you figure it out, will hopefully be fairly interesting to try out. Yeah, I can't really find the sweet spot for it. I figure you can do it, but again, it does seem like a lot of tricks need a lot of finessing to get working, for better or for worse. I also discovered this new grind, levitation, or levitator, or whatever it's called. Sorry, I'm a flatlander, not a street person. So it's probably a really bad example, but you should be able to see it here. It's the fact that you can like pedal, so it's, your left foot is down and it raises it up a bit. So that's kind of an interesting addition. It's maybe the only new grind that I think is in the game. Another thing to bring up is, in the last video I made talking about like analysing one of the Old Potatoes videos, the use of a filter, I said everything looked very orange or brown. It appears that was because there was a filter over everything. You have like a whole crazy range of filters. Like session levels of there's so many things. And the strength setting is set to 0, so you can't actually see them unless you turn that up. But as you can see, there's a lot. It's maybe not the best area to show it off, but you do have a lot of those there. This tune, which you can probably see the difference. It's kind of a weird contrast type of thing. Filmic, I'm not entirely sure what that's for. Depth of field can be applied with distance. So you can have a permanent depth of field playing the game, not just in the replay. Same with fisheye as well. You can turn that on in-game and have it on all the time, which is an interesting choice. And you can change the strength and other settings as well. Just for the sake of it, I'll try a mission which I haven't done before. Conservatory Bowl Jam. One thing about this, it's giving me kind of Tony Hawk vibes. You know, under Pro on the left it says collect BMX, like letters. I don't really want to do that sort of thing. It's not really my style. It's giving me like major, yeah, Tony Hawk annoying mission vibes. It's not really my jam, if I'm being completely honest. And also just judging things by points. For me, it's all about style rather than like jamming as many dumb tricks as you can into a line or whatever. So I'll do them for the sake of it. Like, clearly you unlock stuff by doing a lot of these challenges, but especially the point ones, I'm probably not going to enjoy that much if I'm being completely honest with you. Because a lot of the stuff I do doesn't really score points, for better or for worse. So, well, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm all that great at the game or anything, but from somebody who was pretty good at pipe, you'll notice... So wait, I got 3 types of bestial nipples in orange. Great, thank you. Right, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm just going to go into the downtown area, maybe show that off a bit. I'll change the time again, so we get a different, less orange look to everything. The real-time shadows do look pretty nice, to be honest. I should maybe play with the filters actually, because it does look kind of washed out, whatever you do, as a base. Oh. I guess there is some merit to exploration actually, you do pick up a lot of parts. I've got a potato spud valve cap. Wonder who that is. And yes, this may bring your attention to one other thing which has been kind of controversial. It's the open nature of the streets, as you can see, especially when you're in the city. It's maybe easier to notice. Very wide open. That's not to say there's like spots hidden away here and there, But there are kind of vast zones of not a lot. Again, from what I heard, this is due to the game basically coming out on console as well. They wanted it to be 120 frames per second and all of that stuff. So I guess that's how it's justified. And it's fair enough. But yeah. Okay, I'm doing a terrible job. Here we are, we're getting down to the ocean side of the map, which is the very bottom of the map. I should probably add this as a location. Maybe? Maybe I already did it. Actually, I think I maybe did in the last video I took. One thing to notice... Actually, I'll take you down to it, because it's kind of crazy. There's a bunch of boats in the dock, but the boats are all like really low poly and they look kind of insane. Yeah, here we go. Like, these have been put in, but when you look at them really close up, like, you can see the textures on them. Like, they're extremely low poly, you won't even get up. Yeah, you look at these up close, the textures are really kind of busted. You can actually get on them. Oh, I did, yeah. Probably not meant to be ridden properly. But it's like a weird addition. I thought, okay, cool, there's some boats. I could maybe like do something cool on those, but they're so low poly in texture that you probably don't want to use them all that much. It's interesting, definitely. And again, because the scope of the map is so huge, I don't even know where to look, and I probably missed a ton of... Well, I definitely have missed a ton of stuff, so bear that in mind. I'll go into it more each day as I do a video, kind of learning more and more, figuring out cool things, figuring out how to do tricks, which I haven't figured out yet. There's a lot to do, to be honest, and I do want it to be kind of a raw first look, where basically I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting kind of stressed out and all that stuff, because I'm guessing people who are completely new to the game are going to feel the same way, or probably worse. Judging from the Steam reviews, it seems like people aren't entirely happy about it. I can kind of understand why. I'm kind of a die-hard fan of this, so I'll play it regardless. Like, I played BMX the game, and I made edits on it, so it's not a big deal for me, but for a lot of people, yeah, it's maybe a little bit rough. Let's try something on here, see if it works. Ugh, kinda. Wall rides seem a little weird. So do the manuals. Going back to the menu and... Okay. That's a foot jam. Right, so I guess this is something you do need to balance. Yeah. Which is pretty cool, actually. Like, the fact that it's a proper balance trick. Like, if you go all the way forward, maybe you won't fall over. I guess it's just at speed. What is he doing? You see, I want to do these combos, but the manual stuff is so weird. Like, I don't know if I want it to do fake balancing. I'd rather do that myself. I kind of like to do a double peg on top of this, but it's not really locking on. You could probably finesse some interesting little, like, Smith or various types of things on top of that. But again, it's kind of a case of we don't know how to do it. Yeah, like, I don't really like the manuals the way they are at the minute. One more thing, you'll notice trees in the environment do some strange things. I'm not entirely sure if that's expected, but I've seen a few in the environment that do this. I guess they look fine from a distance. Actually, maybe they don't, they're fading in and out. Again, it's these small things which kind of bring you out of it a little bit. Oh, this spot was in one of the videos, actually. Okay, let's do 1 or 2 tiny things, and then we'll try the online, and then we'll call it a day. I don't want to make this too long. Okay, you can do some like bonk jam stuff, or like hitting the side of objects. I wonder if you could do like a side tap on a rail. That was something I did with a no-bell mod towards the end of playing pipe. Yeah, that didn't quite work. Maybe if it's on more solid objects, that type of thing would be better. We'll try like a proper wall. See if we can just like slap the back wheel on the side of something. No, it leads to a bail. There might be a way to figure it out. Doesn't look like you can do like wall taps, like swing your back end out and just hit something, unless there's a way of finessing it somehow. We just... How about doing like a disaster type thing on the wall? Would that work? You might be able to jank some of that stuff out. Presumably not a lot of that isn't meant to work. But if you finesse it and figure ways out of doing it, it may happen. I'd like to just do like a vertical double peg against a wall like this, but we'll see how that... This is something which will take time, I think, so expect me to come back to that later and try and figure that stuff out. Right, I went back up to the observatory to try and do some like online stuff, but it was kind of a bit broken, and I just heard this weird crackling sound, and I couldn't tell what was going on, and there was a person dead on the floor, and the menus went crazy. So I think I'm just going to put that down as a one-off. Not working that great, maybe? I'll try it offline, or when I'm not doing this video, and maybe get back to you in a later one on it. So, all in all, yeah, apologies if this wasn't what you were expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting, to be honest, but I did want to give honest first opinions, a first play test of the game, basically, to see what it runs like, and it's definitely a mixed bag. It seems that a lot of people share that sentiment, so let me know what you think. I am going to be doing more videos, so don't panic. And yeah, interesting times. Maybe not what we were expecting, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens going on forward, so yeah. Plenty more to come. Please like, subscribe, all the other stuff. Definitely now, because we're going to go into this for good or bad and see what happens. Yeah, anyway, enough talk. See you tomorrow.